What's up, everybody? My name is Neil Casey, and I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I know during these tricky times it can be tough to navigate things, but I'm here to hopefully help you, give you a little bit of guidance into this new math curriculum of ours, and a structure I like to call Juicy Math that gives voice and empowers students to be able to take control of the math classroom and their learning. So we're going to talk a little bit about really nurturing that student voice. Not that kind of voice. Anyway, we're going to nurture student voice, and these series of videos are here to help. So they're really going to be short, quick, snappy videos with resources linked in the description below, and hopefully this will help you along our journey together. So just to give you a background, I've been teaching grade 7 and 8 math and science for the last 7 years in the TDSB, and math is really my passion. I did engineering, civil engineering before being a teacher after coming from Ireland in 2009. So I've got a real passion for math and science, and doing more of a project-based approach and giving students that different perspective and application when tackling math. So let's get started, and our first little video is going to be about just that, getting started with Juicy Math. And we're going to break it down into 3 easy to follow points for teachers to be able to use and approach this structure in their class. Now, the first thing to do as a teacher is think about those juicy themes or topics that you might be able to integrate into your math classroom that will spark that student curiosity. Some themes I've done in the past include screen time of your life, our growing city. We looked at feeding your passion, making an impact, and we even looked at the way we live. However, themes can come up in so many different places, and another place I love to get these themes from are looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and there's loads of different topics and themes that you could base your math kind of units around. Now, the second step is to visualize your vision, and I can't stress this enough. Get a large piece of grid paper, hopefully some colleagues to brainstorm and shoot some ideas around as well, and find a few minutes to try and brainstorm where all of those math strands, those strands even from the new curriculum, can actually link to, say, those potential themes. Like, honestly, we start with just even listing out, if we're talking about, say, our growing city, what are things that make up our growing city? And then branching from that to actual potential topics that students might question about, as you can see here. From that, you can start formalizing it a bit more, predicting those strands that you're going to be touching on based on student questions. So you can see here for my first 2 units, our growing city, and also looking at screen time of our life. There's lots of strands we're going to be looking at and hopefully exploring based on student questions, but not necessarily assessing and looking at them all, as we'll touch on in some later videos. Now, once you've got your theme or your topic, an essential part of visualizing your vision is to think of those artifacts, those images, those videos associated with that theme that are going to spark those juicy student questions. So, for example, you can see here from our growing city, I've given an example of some of those artifacts that included some scale models, some architect scale models that you could potentially build yourself that I've done in the past, or you can even reach out to some architects, send some emails and pick some up. So this was a great example of one, an image of that TTC projected completion of all those different lines. And we also did another one looking at those cars compared to those buses, and looking at different social and different economic and environmental images and artifacts that might spark that curiosity. A great one every year that we've tried is we even looked at a virtual reality view from the top of the CN Tower to see what those student questions might be, and we've generated some awesome student questions. But these artifacts are a great idea. I would recommend brainstorming 10 or 12 and narrowing it down to, say, 5 in your class that are going to be the focal point of those student questions. You're going to get so many perspectives and so many ideas, and it will help students feel valued and feel part of that math class. And step number 3 in getting started with our juicy math units is making sure to flex your flexibility. So no matter how much you plan and try and foresee and predict what these student questions are going to be, there will always be surprises. And I love it every year where students, you might think they're going to ask certain types of questions, but they might go in a different direction. And you might want to tweak and alter your plan based on those questions. I love it because it honestly gives you that little sense of, student input into how your units are going to be structured. So you can do a little bit of pre-planning with this, but always be aware you're going to have to be having some room for flexing that flexibility. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of a taster of how to get started with our juicy math units and our important 3 points. Now I'm going to outline them in the description below, along with a couple of resources, including my long-range plans that include some of those artifacts and student predicted kind of questions that they'll ask, along with a great document by a colleague of mine called Jerry Lewis, who took the new curriculum and those expectations in the math and actually broke it down into grade by grade. So it's a great tool to use as you're trying to brainstorm the connections from your theme or your topic to those actual math strands. So they're linked below. Join us next time in our video where we're going to explore now how you bring these artifacts into the class, the types of student questions, how to arrange them, how to kind of get things kicked off in the classroom. See you then.